We move on now to our next guest. It's Andrea Barrett, and I can see she's sitting there. Come and join us here on the stage. Andrea joined RS Group in January 2021 to step change its environmental, social and corporate governance approach and ensure that ESG is at the heart of the group's purpose, strategy and the way they do business. She developed and launched their 2030 ESG action plan for a better world in November 2021, which includes 4 global goals and 15 supporting actions by 2023. And today she's going to present to us here at WEEF about building an ethical and sustainable supply chain. Thank you for joining us on the stage. I'll give you a microphone. You've got a presentation?
I have.
Yeah, super. If you would like to come over and join me here.
I didn't know whether you were asking me questions or not first.
So I do I do have one question for you. Before we start, maybe you could share with us one of the first ethical issues you were ever faced with and how you dealt with it.
Yes. So I started my career about 20 years ago at the Red Cross. I worked in corporate partnerships there, and I used to run a lot of emergency appeals. And we'd often have this influx of companies that wanted to sort of come out the woodwork and want to support us because, you know, they'd seen, disaster around the world, and they had all the right intentions, to donate and support that situation. But we had to, be really careful about the corporate partners that we did actually accept money from. So we had an ethics committee, and we would, we'd actually, look at, are they the right fit for the Red Cross values? So in some cases, we would actually be turning income down because it just wasn't right for us to be accepting, money from a company that is linked to arms potentially, or to tobacco, or other kind of, red lines that we had established as a charity. So as a fundraiser, that felt a bit counterintuitive at times to be turning down income. But actually, it was absolutely critical for us as a Red Cross, as an impartial and neutral organisation, that we maintained that absolutely kind of brilliant reputation, and that neutral and impartial and always having the beneficiary at our heart. So, super. Yeah, that was my first encounter of ethics many moons ago.
Well, thank you very much for that insight. I think that's a challenge that we've all had in some form or other over the years and can relate to. So thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing what you've been doing at RS Group.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. So great to see you all today. Thank you very much for having me. I'm really pleased to be here talking about my favourite topic related to sustainability and ethics. So I'm the VP of Social Responsibility and Sustainability at RS Group. So it's quite the mouthful in terms of job title. It's something that RS Group has really been focusing on over the last 2 years, as many companies have been. The key focus on environmental, social and governance issues. Sorry, I just need to flick my slides on quickly. Yeah, okay, great. And our plan is called For a Better World 2030. And I really believe that collaboration and innovation across the electronics and industrial sector is a really important driver of tackling some of the big social and environmental challenges that we face today. If you think about the things that we need to develop in the low carbon transition, the smart homes, the smart businesses, the engineering solutions, they all have electronics and industrial products at their heart. We can be part of the solution, but we'll only achieve that if we come together, if suppliers, distributors like RS Group, and our customers come together to solve these challenges. So the more we learn, the more we share and take collective action, the more progress and value I believe that we'll deliver for society and for our stakeholders. So in the spirit of that and collaboration, please do ask me questions today. Share your thoughts and experiences. I'm here to learn just as much as I am to share. And please do come and find me afterwards if this is a topic that you're interested in. Okay, so if you don't know RS Group, I'll just give you a few key headlines. So We are a global provider of products and service solutions to the global industrial sector. So that's to the designers, the builders, the makers and maintainers. We were formerly called Electro Components, and our brands were known as RS Components and Allied, but today we're one brand, one team, one culture, known as RS. So we're a key enabler of engineers and technologists and innovators. We provide those products and service solutions to them to help them design and make things that enable businesses to be more efficient, to develop more sustainable practices, and for those solutions to be more people-focused as well. So that has benefits for both their business and also for wider society as well. And we really feel that is what our purpose in action is all about. It's about making amazing happen for a better world. So we offer 3 million electronic products to about 1.2 million customers across 32 countries. And we do this through our network of 14 global distribution centres. And we ship about 60,000 parcels from those distribution centres every day, and actually more directly from our product suppliers. We have about 2,500 product suppliers. So as you can imagine, it's an immense supply chain, big and highly complex. And it's essential that we have that close collaboration with our supplier partners on their ESG journeys. So not only is this the right thing to do as a business, but it is really critical for our customers to ensure that we're providing them with those quality products and that we're giving them that assurance over the ethics and sustainability of their purchasing decisions. So before I jump into the detail of what we're doing at RS on this journey, I just wanted to reflect a little on why this topic is so important and gathering so much pace for businesses today, and what are some of the kind of key issues facing the electronics sector. So I mentioned, I started out at the Red Cross working in an area called corporate social responsibility, or CSR as it used to be known. And it was a constant battle, basically. I moved from the Red Cross over to the client and company side, to Tesco, and then to Centrica, the global energy company. And at that time, 20 years ago, CSR was largely an employee engagement or brand and marketing exercise, or it was about compliance and risk mitigation. Rarely was it at the centre of a strategy or a company's purpose or their financial or commercial decisions. But things have changed really radically today, and it continues to change. And I feel really privileged that, ESG and sustainability are at the heart of one of the biggest shifts in the way that we do business today. And that's that move to a much more kind of stakeholder-led approach, which delivers greater value for people, planet, and profit. So I'm sure you feel this. I'm sure you're hearing this within your businesses, from your people, your customers, and suppliers. And you can be sure that your actions in this space and how much you commit to this, how genuine it is, how much you are really walking the talk, that will really influence, whether your stakeholders, those important partners, choose you in the future or whether they choose to avoid you. So it's something that none of us can ignore. It's not just the right thing to do, it's absolutely critical for our business success. And they're asking questions like, are you prioritising carbon reduction? Do you offer sustainable and circular products? Not just low carbon manufacture, but are you thinking about how your products are going to help customers in the in-use phase, or what might happen to them at end of life? Are they coming back into your supply chain and being circular? Is your culture purpose-driven, and do you value inclusion? Are you supporting the diversification of the electronics sector and building skills? Is your supply chain free from modern slavery? And are your suppliers upholding strong working conditions and fair pay? Your people will be looking at this before they decide to join you, and as will your customers, and it's going to become more and more central to their purchasing decisions and much more forensic around the data in this area. So with this in mind, it's really, really essential that product and supplier management teams in the electronics sector and beyond are really upskilled in sustainability and ESG issues. They need to be having these conversations with suppliers, to build that really ethical and sustainable supply chain. It can't just be the ESG expert in the company. It's a coalition of the willing. Marketing, supply chain, procurement, all need to become sustainability experts themselves. And there'll be many benefits for companies that do prioritise this approach. Okay, so a little bit about what we're doing at RS then. So one of the first things I would say is every company should complete a materiality assessment of their key material sustainability and ethical issues. There might be some really common themes across the electronics sector, such as conflict minerals or traceability or diversity and inclusion. But every company is going to have a slightly different take on this. As a company that is, sourcing and supplying and shipping products, some of the biggest issues for us around how we run clean and green operations, how we make our logistics greener, whereas as a manufacturer, the conflict minerals and raw materials piece might be more important. So that's where we started. We started with this materiality assessment, and it led us to our ESG action plan. And that's 4 big global goals, all orientated around our mission around for a better world. And those 4 goals are advancing sustainability, championing education and innovation, empowering our people, and doing business responsibly. And for each of those goals, we have set a number of supporting actions. And I'm going to highlight just a couple of the key ones here. So like many companies today, in terms of advancing sustainability, we're really driving towards net zero by 2030 in our direct operations and in our value chain by 2050. We've set science-based targets around our scopes 1, 2, and 3 emissions that cover those. In terms of championing education and innovation, we want to build the skills and foster innovation with the future technologists of around 1.5 million engineers and innovators. With our people, we're committed to being in the top 10% of most engaged companies globally, and to having 40% women and 25% ethnic minority leaders. And in terms of doing business responsibly, we're increasing our focus on responsible sourcing and introducing ESG objectives for all of our top suppliers. So how are we doing? Well, we just actually gave an update on our half-1 performance, and I'm pleased to see that we're making some good progress. Obviously, it's early on in our journey, and we're learning as we go, and we're striving, but we've made some good progress. So just a couple of examples. So we have 92% of our electricity now comes from renewable sources. Our employee engagement score has increased to 78. We've had a really big focus on purpose and driving a kind of high-performance, purpose-driven culture. And we've reduced our packaging intensity by 19% since September last year. So I just wanted to take a bit of time just to focus on the responsible supply chain piece, the ethical supply chain. What are we doing there? So we see that we are this kind of central point in the global industrial sector, sitting between our customers and our suppliers. And one of the key things that we can do for our customers is really take a kind of stewardship role with our suppliers in the supply chain, helping to increase ethical and sustainability standards. So we're really made a lot of progress in this area over the last 2 years. So One of the first things we've done is to risk screen all of our suppliers, so 60,000 suppliers on our database, and we've looked at 100 different lists. So a tool called TA15 to check and see how our suppliers are performing in terms of are there any persons of interest, are there any kind of media issues related to ESG, modern slavery, to check that they are the type of suppliers that with integrity, with ethics, that we want to be working with. And then for our most important suppliers that produce our own brand products, we're going that extra step. We're asking them to sign up to become SEDEX members. Many of you will know SEDEX as an organisation which supports ethics and sustainability. And it really helps to create that visibility down the different tiers of the supply chain. So we're asking them to become members and their suppliers to become members. And then we're actually going into factories and doing audits. So we've done nearly 100 ethical inspections on the ground, actually at the manufacturing level. We've asked all of our suppliers to sign a new ethical trading declaration, and we've got SEDEX to advise on that and make sure it's best practice. And then we're partnering with EcoVadis as well. So many of you, again, will know EcoVadis is one of the kind of key sustainability ratings agencies. And that enables you to get that kind of visibility over your supply chain in lots of different areas, from ethics and labour standards, sustainability, human rights. And the great thing about that is you're not sending out a questionnaire to thousands of suppliers that they're potentially receiving from lots of other companies and customers as well. You're channeling it all through one agency and making it easy for them. And then you can spot areas where actually maybe the performance isn't as good. In electronics, for example, have they got a good chemicals of concern policy? You can actually see down to that level of detail. And if they haven't, then you can take action on that. So that's a great way of doing it. And then what we know now, actually, is that 50% of our suppliers are EcoVadis rated, and we're going to be striving towards 100% by 2030. So in terms of what we're doing on sustainability, so I always say you've got to have your own house in order first before you start to think about, okay, what are our suppliers doing? So the focus starts at home. So for us, we're focused on reducing the energy and carbon of our operations, reducing packaging and having better, quality and more sustainable packaging, and reducing waste across our business. And again, we're making good progress. So our buildings are becoming greener. We've switched to renewable electricity, and actually on our German DC in Bad Hersfeld, which is newly expanded, we've got solar panels on the roof, fast charging, EV stations as well. So really trying to get to that kind of mecca of net zero buildings. The other thing is around packaging. So within the DCs, have you got that kind of highly automated system that allows you to be more efficient? The automated packaging machines with made-to-fit boxes, for example. Or are you using reusable eco-totes for customers or intercompany shipping movements, so you're actually cutting down on packaging? So those are some of the things that we're really focused on. And then in terms of the supply chain, we know that actually 97% of our emissions actually sit in our supply chain. So that's our most material area. So once we're making progress internally and we understand about how to map our carbon emissions and take action, we then need to pass that on into the supply chain and be having really good conversations with our suppliers about this. So there's 3 key areas for us. The product transportation. As I said, we ship 60,000 parcels daily, so that's a big footprint for us. We need to think about how to reduce that. So how are we doing that? Well, we have really restructured our supply chain to drive cost and emissions and distance out of the supply chain. So we used to operate something which I call industrial tourism, where we used to source products, bring them into a central distribution centre, and then ship them back out again to regional distribution centres or our customers. Many, many wasted miles. And now what we're doing is taking our 14 distribution centres globally and sourcing into those, closer to the supplier and closer to the customer. So more local storage and shipments. That's better for local economies and jobs as well. And we're looking at other supply chain optimization like route optimization and modal switch. You know, where can we move away from air and move to sea or road or rail, much lower carbon forms of transport? So taking that action over the last 2 years, we've reduced our transport intensity by about 25%. So really, quite material difference there. And it's at the end of the day, it's also a better service for our customers and suppliers. With so many suppliers and not actually manufacturing the product ourselves, it's quite hard sometimes to, really change the sustainability of the products that we sell. So we have to be really focused on that supplier engagement. So we've set carbon reduction targets with the Science Based Targets initiative that we want 67% of our suppliers by spend to have set their own science-based targets by 2025. And we know so far that nearly 23% have done so to date. So we're making progress, but obviously 25 is not far away. So we really need to ramp up in that area, and we've got a big program coming over the next 6 months to help and work with our suppliers on that journey. And then the final piece is about the products and service solutions itself. So what we're doing is working with our suppliers to understand the products that they sell and how sustainable they are at each stage of the life cycle. And we've introduced a model where we're going to be surfacing sustainability certifications on our website as part of a RS Better World product range. So things like, are they FSC certified, Cradle to Cradle, Nordic Swan? So customers can see those certifications and make choices based on sustainable products. So that's something that's going to be coming in the new year that we're really excited about. And just generally, communicating what we're hearing from our customers about how important sustainability and ethics is to them back into the supply chain so that our suppliers know about that and know the opportunity to create those more sustainable products. So hopefully that's given you a good flavour. As I say, we're early on in our journey. I appreciate that many of you will be further ahead. We've been doing this for many, many years, and we'll have lots of experience and thoughts to share. So please do so. But hopefully that's given you a few snippets of what we're been up to. Thank you.
Steve? Yeah. No problem. Super. Well, thank you very much for those insights from RS Components, our premium sponsor for WEEF as well. Yes. I actually spoke to Ralf Helwig a few months ago. He's obviously the director for RS Group in Germany, so it's nice to see a bit more detail and flesh on the bone regarding those things. We're a bit short on time, but I did want to ask you a couple of questions. Mm-hmm. One of the things, I don't know how much you're in touch with hiring, but do you see when job applicants are coming to the RS Group that especially young sort of Gen Z applicants, are they asking about the ESGs? Are they looking for someone who's aligned with them ethically?
They 100% are, and we get a lot of feedback on that, from our new recruits, that they've seen us talking about this on LinkedIn. They can see it running through our annual report, and our whole kind of purpose and practice. And that has been, the difference for them in terms of choosing RS or choosing another company. Yep. They can feel that it's genuine, that there's a real pace of movement behind this. And that's attractive to them because it aligns to their purpose and values. But it's not just Gen Z, it's Gen Y and millennials and all sorts. I know that's why I chose to work for RS, because I could see, the genuine passion for it. So it's really running through all of the company.
Now, in the presentation slides there, we saw the ESG highlights. Is that something that people can go and find on the website as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so rs.com/ESG. It's all up there, videos and reports and all such like. Yeah.
Now, the nice thing I thought about, one of the nice things I thought about the presentation was that RS Group is obviously not a small company anymore. It was decades ago, but today it's of a considerable size. And yet you've said, you know, we had to go to SEDEX, we had to go to EcoVadis. So you're even getting help around this. You don't have all the answers.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think, you know, you've got to take the best practice of the industry, haven't you? And look at who's doing well in this space already. And look at, you know, industry forums, specialists like EcoVadis and SEDEX to really kind of benchmark yourself and benchmark what does practice look like. And you can't do this change overnight. You know, you've got to have a vision about where you want to get to in, you know, 3 to 5, 10 years' time and understand it's a kind of crawl, walk, run. You know, you're not going to achieve it overnight. You've got to be in for the long haul. It takes time to change organisations and, you know, really embed a culture of sustainability. So you've got to have what are the steps to that vision, you know, that 5-10 year vision.
Now, WEEF 2022 is not just here in the conference hall. We've also got participants online from around the world. And Priscilla, my colleague from Elektor, has some questions. So we're just trying to
there we go.
there.
Okay, so I'm voicing Benjamin right now.
Okay,
he has the question for you is: do you have any responsibility mechanism in place to ensure how the things you send around the world are then used? And you mentioned this a little bit already for sustainability, but for other unethical uses, so like in things that explode, for example.
Yes, yes. Yeah, we do. You know, we're very careful, as I say, about the screening about suppliers, but also about the customer relationships that we develop as well. So we have a very close relationship with, you know, with our customers, that kind of key account manager relationship, you know, and we're trying to, you know, position RS as much more of a kind of a strategic partner rather than a kind of transactional one-off relationship where we're actually helping to solve, you know, big business challenges and being kind of ingrained in their business as a, you know, a procurement partner. So, yeah, absolutely. It's something, you know, you've got to look up and down the value chain, haven't you? It can't just be into the supply chain. It's also got to be into the customers as well. And thinking about, okay, you know, where we often think about the low carbon transition and the industry segments that are going to be key to helping that to happen. And how can we position ourselves to support them? So at the moment, we've got a big drive around supporting the renewables sector and offshore wind.
Super. Well, I think it's very noble of you to imagine that everybody's maybe ahead of RS Group. I think from what we've been seeing today and from my own personal experience, the electronics industry is probably a little bit behind, and therefore we're very grateful for you taking the time today to explain what you're doing, how you're doing it, and the approach, and that it is also a work in progress, something that needs to continue. So yeah. Thank you, Andrea Barrett.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Take care.